Let's roll, baby. Welcome in to the first ever edition of Ringer Wise Guys right here on FanDuel TV. We'll be joining you each and every football Sunday. As you can tell, little extra pep in my step. We got quite the crew breaking down all the lines, all the action, all the spreads each and every football Sunday. Let's welcome in the Wise Guys, shall we? We have Cousin Sal. We have Joe House and Raheem Palmer, my buddies from the East Coast Bias crew. Sal, you've made it. You're in one piece. You're ready for football season. Welcome in. How are you, fellas?
Well, I am very, very excited. Although something you said is a little startling to me. You said something about spreads. I'm gonna have to talk to my agent. I thought we're picking straight up. I want to do it like Howie and Terry do. By the way, they all have Baltimore to beat Houston. That's a real ballsy pick, but are we really doing spreads? Oh, that's scary stuff. I don't know if I like that.
I can understand this skepticism. House for him. We gotta ease our buddy in. You know, he's trying to make you guys laugh. I figured I'd have you guys laugh in a minute into the show, House. Let's go here.
We're gonna try and take it easy on Sal. I just want to say I'm humbled and honored to be here with Gambling America. This is undeniable, indisputable proof that when you possess incriminating photos involving farm animals of your best friend from college, anything is possible. I'm here with you guys. And we're going to be talking about trying to make some money now. I'm starting off in the hole, which is kind of my way, because I had the Kansas City Chiefs in a couple of different teaser combinations Thursday night. But look, everything is possible now. We have 15 beautiful games in front of us, all this opportunity for return on investment. Let's go, Dream. Let's make this happen.
It's so many opportunities ahead of us right now. And I got to shout out House because he came through looking like Sam Rothstein in Casino. So you know he's going to pick some winners. Hopefully the rest of us can give you some winners and keep this thing going to start the NFL season off right.
Yeah, we got
going to be a lot of different perspectives here, especially from you. Raheem is going to be our shop guy, Sal. That's what we got to watch out for.
Well, I figured we need to do this and get going and get out on time so that House makes it on time for his indictment. But yeah, let's get it going. Let's make these picks.
Well, here's what we have coming up, fellas. It is a loaded hour right here on FanDuel TV. First off, you're going to have the Wise Guys wisening up, giving you their best bets each and every week. I look forward to that. I look forward to fading Cousin Sal's picks as often as possible. We will also have Man's Best Bet, which means your underdog of the week, which you want to be staying tuned for because there are some juicy dogs that we're going to go through in this week one card. And then, of course, we are going to get made because that's what we do with the Wise Guys. Tommy's getting made. We're going to find the line that seems too good to be true, the rat line, as I like to call it, each and every week. So let's begin. We will wisen up. And Mr. Cousin Sal, we will start with you. I actually think that I might give you an endorsement on my week one bet. I know I'm talking a lot of smack. I know I'm trying to start a rivalry already like it's Bird and Magic. But Sal, the floor is yours. Take it away. Best bet, wisen up.
All right. Now, listen, I don't know when it became uncool to root for Deshaun Watson. I forgot to get the memo, but I'm doing it. I'm taking the Browns this week. I really like them. I'm a big Browns backer this year. I have them at 4-1 to win that division. They play the Bengals. They're home for the Bengals. It's a big game. I believe they play them again week 18. So this is a nice bookend matchup for two teams who I think are going to be competing for the division title. Cooper, Moore, Goodwin, solid tight end for the Browns. They're going to be able to move the ball. We all love Nick Chubb, right? Without an injury, he's a top 2 or 3 back. Cincinnati, on the other hand, they lose some guys in the secondary. So it's going to be a little mixing and matching. in the early going. And let's not forget, Cincinnati gets off to a slow start. They lost the first 2 games last year and then came back and were 1 play away from making it to the Super Bowl. So can't you just see Zadarius Smith now, a new addition, and Myles Garrett just wreaking havoc on Joe Burrow and everyone being, oh, the offensive line, it's gone. It's the same offensive line for the Bengals. I think that's what we're going to see a lot of today. 27-21, Brownies win at home.
Yeah, I really like the pick. I think the pick is a great pick. Obviously, divisional home dogs are 7-0 against the spread the last couple of years. So I think you're on the sharp side.
Yeah. You see that? See that, JJ? You have nothing to say. That's a winner. See, we got
well,
one
listen,
winner.
Believe it or not, you're getting an endorsement from me right out of the gate, Sal, which I did not expect to say here in week 1. And there's something to be said, too, for the success that Cleveland has had when you look at Cincinnati going on the road and playing in the dog pound. I remember last Monday night, perfect example. You had Cleveland as a small favorite. They went in, they got their doors blown off. That's with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. And Sal, you got to figure at some point in time, Deshaun Watson, who, yes, had the hiatus and, yes, played poorly for most of last year when he came back, you got to figure Deshaun Watson, who at one point in time was the top 5, top 7 quarterback in the sport, he's got to be better this year, right? He has to be.
I think he's going to be a top 7, 8, 9 quarterback, somewhere in there. Maybe all 3. Is it possible for him to be all 3 of those? But yes, I'm a big Deshaun Watson supporter this year. House, what do you think? Go ahead, House.
So we don't have House yet. We're waiting on House to fire it up. Oh, apparently House is here. Okay, House, take it away. All right, Raheem, we're going to Raheem first. House, we got to figure out what's going on with you. Raheem, what's your best bet in Wisen Up? Take it away.
We're going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers +3. You can buy that to -130. Like right now, it's 2.5, but I recommend you buy that half point. We all know that 3 comes out about 17% of the time. So that gives you a positive expectation if it falls on 3. You look at Mike Tomlin. He is 51, 27-3, 65% as an underdog. And as a home dog, he's 15-4-3. That's almost 80%. And he's going up against Kyle Shanahan, who really isn't good as a favorite. This is a really tough spot for Brock Purdy. He's making his first start since tearing his UCL in the NFC Championship game. And guess who he has to go against? He has to go against TJ Watt. You look at the other side of the field. George Kittle is questionable with a groin injury. That's Brock Purdy's security blanket. You look at Nick Bosa. He signed a new contract, but he missed all the training camp. So I'm not expecting him to be 100%. Kenny Pickett is balling out of his mind. I mean, 13 of 15, 199 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, perfect quarterback rating in the preseason. The Steelers offense, they generated explosive plays on 18% of their plays. So I'm expecting them to go out there and take the 49ers into the deep waters. They win this game outright, but we're going to take the 3.
Raheem, I like it. Rolling with the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are everyone's darlings here in the preseason. Do we finally have Mr. Joe House to recap our Wisen Up segment? House, did we figure out what's going on in Washington, D.C.? Another indictment?
JJ, you're not supposed to make jokes about farm animals at the top of these shows, apparently. But I'm back, and I'm worried that we are going to be accused of groupthink on this program because I love the Cousin Sal's pick. I love Dream's pick. Let's see if they love my pick. I have this particular batch of data that says that overall number 1 quarterback picks, they don't win, they don't cover, they don't score in week 1. So, hello, Atlanta. We love Outcast. We love lemon pepper wings. We love them wet. And we love Rembert Brown. Hello, Atlanta Falcons. We are on you. Now, I don't love laying the 3.5 with Desmond Ridder. Still an unknown quantity. Didn't exactly knock our socks off at the end of last season. So what I'm doing here is proposing a little parlay. I like the Falcons money line available on FanDuel right this second at -186. If you combine that with the Panthers team total under 17.5 points, you put yourself in positive money territory. That's +109. So what we're trying to do here is get a little plus money action on the Atlanta Falcons against the Carolina Panthers. During the preseason, Bryce Young and that offensive line for the Panthers did not look good. He had 3 sacks. He averaged 5.4 yards per attempt. It was not very impressive. Also, I think that the Atlanta Falcons are going to bring that smash mouth football. They're going to shorten up this football game and just control the ball all the way through. They get a lead, they hold on to the lead. That's the way it's going to be. Carolina does not seem capable of sustained drives through the combination of very questionable offensive line play and this poor rookie quarterback that they're throwing into the fire. And the Atlanta defense has gotten better. It was the question mark coming into the offseason. They spent a whole bunch of money. They got Calais Campbell. They got Bud Dupree. They got Jesse Bates. Very good improvement, proven veterans across the board. So we are going against overall number 1 pick quarterbacks, 0-13-1, straight up since 2003. Frank Reich as a head coach, 0-4-1 in week 1s. Let's go try and make some money in week 1 with these Atlanta Falcons holding the Carolina Panthers to under 17 points.
All right, House, I'm going to piggyback off of what you just said for my Wising Up lock of the week. I know you just said a moment ago you like Atlanta, but you're not willing to go and lay the 3.5. Well, guess what? I'm going to go and lay the 3.5. To me, I see Carolina as a team that is in all sorts of transition. Their offensive line was deplorable throughout the preseason. They're trying to learn a new scheme. And you mentioned the lack of success that rookie quarterbacks have had on the road. I mean, you can't find a whole lot of rookie quarterbacks that have won and have covered spreads outright. So I'm going to take an Atlanta team that has a lot of firepower: Bijan Robinson, Algier, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. And it's an Atlanta team that was very unlucky a year ago. I am a believer in market correction as I fix my earpiece. I do 2 things at once. Wow. Guess what? Atlanta Falcons laying 3.5. That is my Wising Up lock of the week. We go from lock of the week to man's best bet as the fellas will find their best underdog on the card, and we take it from there. I'm starting with the New England Patriots. Doesn't that dog fit the bill? Doesn't that dog look exactly like Bill Belichick? I mean, look at that beautiful thing right there. That is an absolute gem. The Patriots are the play today because when you look at Philadelphia, what do they profile as? A Super Bowl loser. What do Super Bowl losers do? A whole lot in week 1. We saw with the Cincinnati Bengals last year. They don't cover the spread. So I know there are concerns about New England and some of the injuries they have going into this particular game, but I don't think it's going to be as easy, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, for the Philadelphia Eagles as it was a year ago. That line seems perfect, right? The Eagles, the NFC champs, all they got to do is win by more than 4 against the New England Patriots. Well, guess what? It ain't happening. I think the Podfather will be happy. I am on the Patriots. This might be the last time I take the Patriots for what it's worth. Plus the points as man's best bet. Raheem, give me your dog. Let's go.
Hold on. Before we get into my dog, I got to break something down. When you look at this Patriots team and Bill Belichick, they can't stop running quarterbacks. Kaepernick, Dak, Lamar, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, the whack version of Geno Smith, like Josh Allen. All these running quarterbacks have beaten Belichick. So I'm against you. How? Like, Sal, what do you have to say? Because I know you had something to say about this.
No, I just, look, we make our power rankings, and if the power rankings work out in accordance with the spread, you stay away. But if it's wider than or more narrow than the wise guys think, then you go with that team. I see what JJ's saying, but one thing you don't take into account is the emotion behind this game. They're retiring Tom Brady. They're sending him off into the sunset. And by the way, this is the first time, if I'm not mistaken, that Brady and Belichick are both single. Yes. Yes. The status, marital status, girlfriend, everything, they're single. So they could embrace at halftime, and that embrace could become something. Who knows what that ends up being? Either way, the emotion involved in this game is going to overtake it. I don't like the Patriots. And a lot of these emotional games where the guy's number is retired and everything else, it'll go the other way. It'll go to the road team. So I think it's a stay away, but good luck to you.
Yeah, I'm with Sal on this. I mean, Belichick without Brady is like Harold Melvin without the Blue Notes. You'd never go platinum.
Well, I was going to say, I'm not going to have Lennon and McCartney reuniting necessarily, but I'm going to take my points and I'm going to feel good about taking my points. Trust me, it pains me to take the New England Patriots in our first ever show here on FanDuel TV with the Ringer Wise Guys, and I don't get a Wise Guys blessing on man's best bet, which is unfortunate. So, Raheem, since you hate the Patriots so much, what's man's best bet for you?
We're going to go with the Packers plus 1.5. We all know about the divisional home dogs trend, but this Bears defense is abysmal. Dead last in DVOA, EPA per play, EPA against the pass, and they're 28th in rushing success rate. So I expect Jordan Love to go out there. He has his run game to lean on. And then also Justin Fields isn't a good quarterback. 40th in EPA per play, 34th in success rate, 49th in completion percentage. The Packers go out there and own this team with and without Aaron Rodgers. Jordan Love gets his first win.
The Packers. Sal, aren't they going to be like the trendiest team in the NFC all of a sudden? It's amazing. For a team that loses Aaron Rodgers, you wouldn't expect the Packers to have as much preseason love as they do. It's just tough making a case for the Bears with that defense. Really, really tough to do.
Yeah, I think, well, not only the trendiest team, but I think if you look at the biggest overreaction game of the week, this has great potential, right? If the Bears blow out the Packers, oh my God, look at this. The streak is over. If Jordan Love beats up on the Bears, it's like, oh, look at it. They didn't leave off any. Aaron Rodgers, good riddance. Take them away. But to me, I'm going for the biggest overreaction game of the week is going to be whatever rookie quarterback wins. And I'm sorry, I know Raheem likes this, and I know Simmons likes this, but or House likes this. I'm going Carolina plus 166. This is me. I guess I'm a lone wolf, right? Am I a lone wolf? Is that what we got going on here?
You are a lone wolf.
The lonest.
I'm the wolf. That's right. I was thinking maybe more of a wolf like the guy from Pulp Fiction, right? The cleaned up dead brains in the back seat there. But I'll take either way. I'm not sure what is the big deal about this Falcons team. They take Bijan Robinson, who's supposed to be a stud. You don't do that. If you're one piece away from making a Super Bowl, then you go running back first round. We've not seen him in the pros. We've seen Desmond Ridder, right? Okay, 4 mediocre games. Kyle Pitts, everyone gets excited about. The guy's got 3 career touchdown receptions. So I'm going to take a chance on Bryce Young. I think one of these rookie quarterbacks comes through. CJ Stroud, it's too tall task to go into Baltimore. I'm not sold on the Colts at all, and Anthony Richardson, especially early on. Give me Bryce Young, and right there, that's going to be my upset. Man's best bet, plus 166, lone wolf right here.
You had to go lone wolf. You had to take sides against the family, which is disappointing because I thought you were a family man, cousin Sal, and that's what I learned. You're not. You're not a team player. Disappointing. House, JJ, Raheem will all be having the last laugh. That you could take that to the bank. House, I saw 2 dogs for the price of 1. We await your man's best bet.
Well, my favorite thing about my bet here is not only is it exotic, and I love to dabble in the exotics, but both Dream and Cousin Sal already made my case for me. What I'm doing here is a small dog money line parlay. We've got 2 of these little yappers, and we've been talking about both of these teams that I like already here on the show. I'm combining the Browns, who are sitting there at plus 114 on the money line on the FanDuel right now, and the Green Bay Packers at plus 104. If you combine those 2, it's a very juicy plus 337. And I don't have to amplify very much more as I work with my amplification piece in my ear on either of the cases that Sal or Dream made. I mean, I love the position that the Browns are in as a slight home underdog in division. 81% against the spread. If you like that number on the spread, go ahead and play the money line. And that Cincinnati secondary is something that I really want to pay attention to. No Jesse Bates, no Von Bell, no Eli Apple. So we have question mark with Deshaun Watson for sure, but, big question marks on the Cincinnati side. And then the Packers have just owned the Bears. The Packers are the Bears' daddy. It's been that way forever, and I think that the Packers are showing up ready to prove out something. We've used the so-called Ewing theory from our good buddy, the Podfather. I think the Packers are perfectly poised to show the world that they are a complete football team, even without his Lord and Savior, Aaron Rodgers.
I like Secret Service house right now, holding the earpiece. The president's making his way to the Rose Garden. Let's go. Let's follow. We're following. Take Aaron Rodgers.
Are you leading the way or is Raheem leading the way? I think that's the better question, Sal.
Yeah, that's true. It's Raheem, of course. Who would trust
Raheem
him?
is clearly leading the way.
President Dream. Let's go.
President Dream. Fellas, there are three major underdogs, the way I see it, on the card today. You have the Houston Texans, who are a monster underdog. You have the Indianapolis Colts, who are a monster underdog. You have the Arizona Cardinals, who are a monster underdog. Out of those three big dogs, Raheem, you have Indy, you have Zona, you have Houston. Who's the most live in your opinion?
Well, there's most live to cover the spread, and there's most live to actually win. I think the Houston Texans, obviously, they've taken some sharp money from 10. That's going down to about 9. So the sharps are all over the Houston Texans here. However, the most live to actually win the game is the Indianapolis Colts. When you look at the Indianapolis Colts versus the Jacksonville Jaguars, the home team mostly wins these games. So, and then you look at Anthony Richardson, you look at quarterbacks who can run the ball. They tend to do better than quarterbacks who just are stationary because there's an extra level of variance and an extra level of things that you have to prepare for. You look at the Jacksonville Jaguars, they're down their offensive linemen. So I just think Indianapolis, they have a real shot at winning this game. That's also taking sharp money. But if you're going to go with the spread, it's definitely Houston because that's a lot of points.
I'm right there with the Dream on this. It's not a shock. We here on East Coast Bias, me and Dream tend to see the world the same way. So when we're here in front of all of America, just get used to it. Me and Dream have some mind meld. I'm playing this exactly the same way as Dream. I think that he used the word variance. That's the key. That's the most important thing. Week 1, every one of these teams thinks that they can win. They all show up. I mean, if you look at Jacksonville back in the couple years ago when they won 1-15, their first game of the season, they beat the Colts and then they didn't win again for the entire rest of the season. I like very much this Anthony Richardson unknown quantity. He's just an absolute athletic phenomena, and I can't wait to see him rush. Look, man, I'm playing all over of his rushing yard props, and if you can give me one, I don't have a chance to check it, but before game time, I will. Give me 100 yards on Anthony Richardson, and I'll go over that this week on an alt rush line.
Passing? Oh, rushing. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
I mean, and under on pass attempts. So there's a parlay. You know, I like to get exotic, Sal, but that play for sure feels great to me. And then Dream made a great case about the Texans. It's too many points. I can't wait to see this defense. I can't wait to see a D'Amico Ryan all-dog defense. They improved some in the offseason. And so I'm locked in once again with the Dream.
Well, listen, I'm going to go off the board. No one's going to like this opinion, but if you go by the favorite quarterback coach combination, right? We like what Jacksonville offers in Lawrence and Peterson. We like what Baltimore offers in Lamar Jackson and Harbaugh. And that leaves me with I don't like the Colts at all. I like their adjusted under 4.5 wins this year. And by the way, I don't think they've won an opening game in like a decade or something crazy. So again, I say tall order for CJ Stroud on the road at Baltimore. If you have an eliminator pool, I believe that's a freebie. So I'm sorry, House, but I think out of those three options that JJ presented, I'm going to have to go Arizona over your Washington Commanders, whatever they're called. I know you have some spring in your step because you won that big preseason game against the Ravens, but essentially it's Sam Howell against Josh Dobbs. What do I care? Why are there even points involved here? I'm going to take the underdog cards here. I don't think you're going to be the worst team in the league when it all shakes out.
See, I'm with you on that, Sal. And I know that's going to bother House. And I'm not saying that Arizona is going to go and win the game. But if you look at CJ Stroud as a rookie quarterback going into Baltimore, that has disaster written all over it. The Jaguars, to me, are legit. We saw that in the second half of last year. And I'm not ready to go and buy in on the Anthony Richardson hype train yet. I think Arizona is the team, despite the fact that power rankings wise, you probably put them dead last, right? Like, we're ranking teams. The Cardinals are as bad as can be. I need to see it from Hal. I need to see it from the Commanders. So I'm looking at them as a team that's vulnerable. House, you got like 30 seconds, but I think your team out of those three is the most in trouble.
It's fair enough. I'm a realist. All I want to tell both of you boys is you don't have the feeling here in Washington, D.C. This is a homecoming. John Riggins is going to be in the building. Sonny Jurgensen's going to be in the building. I'm not worried about Sam Howell. He's going to channel his inner Sonny Jurgensen. I don't like laying the 7 either, just to be fair.
Is sewage going to be in the building? I just want
It's guaranteed. It's the stadium. Let's go.
House all in again on his beloved Washington. What are they called again? The Commanders. Got to make sure I get it right. All right, boys. Coming up on Ringer Wise Guys here on FanDuel TV, we will have the Podfather join us. Bill Simmons with his lock and his wisest bet of week number 1. And you know what else we're going to have? The Rat Line. Tommy's getting made. All that and more. It's the Ringer Wise Guys right here on FanDuel TV.
Welcome back to Ringer Wise Guys. Hey, don't forget, the start of the NFL season means the return of Guess the Lines podcast. If you want to hear two middle-aged, I hope men, accuse each other of cheating in a meaningless contest, Bill Simmons and I are there for you every Sunday night. Yes, Bill is the reason we're all here, and he was supposed to join us live, but unfortunately, he lives in a remote Spotify castle in Stockholm, and he's having IT issues, but he was good enough to make this video, and I think there's a pick involved. So take it away, sportsish guy.
Hi, guys. Congrats on getting your own show. I couldn't be on because I like to wear hats. I wanted to consider here an alt line parlay of Steelers -2.5, which you can get at +138 on FanDuel. Jets -2.5 on Monday night. That's +142. Combine them together, +476. If you think the Jets are going to win, the Steelers are going to win, why wouldn't you do the money line? Why not lay the 2.5 and just say they're going to win by 3? I'm a genius. Go Emerson.
Go Emerson. You like that? I bet on you girls -1.5. Wow. By the way, why couldn't he join it? Well, should we call him right now? Because he's definitely watching us. He couldn't do this live, JJ?
Well, there's no doubt he's watching. And listen, House, you got to love our guy, the Podfather, supporting his daughters down new school. That's terrific. Her soccer career, all well and good. But could the Podfather, spice it up a little bit? You got to go with the hat. Even you are rocking your hair as beautiful as it is, House. So, if you could go and comb the hair and look as presentable as you look, could have had the Podfather take care of his hair a little bit, House. Just saying.
Look, the cuz got it right. He's at that compound in Stockholm. You can't tell those guys how to dress. They dress how they want. But he did hook us up with a juicy proposition there. I like where he was coming from on it. If you like those dogs in general against the spread, why not just play them and amp it up a little bit? The money line numbers aren't good enough. Take them up to 2.5 and combo it up. This is my kind of jam. Let's get exotic and stay exotic all day, every week. It's a dream.
Yeah, I totally agree with House on this. I think that was the perfect play. Bill, he's gambling right now, and I just think when you look at a team like the Pittsburgh Steelers, I mean, who he took, he laying 2.5. I thought they were going to win outright. So most games end in 3. So I think that's a good bet.
Raheem, let me just step in. In general, I know it's a 4-point swing, but I think the sports guy is onto something. If you're getting 1.5, some of those points in between +1.5 and -2.5 are not key numbers. In fact, none of them are really key numbers. So the extra juice you're getting your way, is it worth it to turn it around?
Oh yeah, it's definitely worth it. If you can find an underdog who you like, I think you always do better not laying the juice and taking a chance on them, actually winning by a larger spread. So I like that.
So I think it makes sense, fellas. The only thing I'd be careful of now, with the way the NFL is, we have a whole lot of missed extra points. So I get the Podfather's logic, but I would be very careful with 2.5, thinking, it's the old way of the NFL, where winning by a field goal is going to be a way of life. It's not necessarily a way of life now when some of the wacky outcomes and missed extra points combined with coaches deciding, Sal, they're going for 2 when they're down 14. We see that way too often. Maybe the better way to play that, and I don't necessarily like the Jets for what it's worth on Monday night, but I almost think you're better off, Sal, just taking both of them, even if you're getting less of a payout, and just taking them on the money line.
All right. Yeah, I don't like the pick either, but I don't want to get fired week 1. So, JJ, you handled it differently. Good luck.
Well, that's fine. I'm more than happy to get fired after week 1 because you know what? I'll be back for week 2. I'll come out of my firing. Well, here's what we got coming up. It's time for the wise guys to get made. You remember Tommy? Goodfellas. He walks in. He thinks he's going to be a made man. Well, guess what? He's not going to be a made man. We smell out the rat bets of the week. That's what we do here on the Ringer Wise Guys. I am going to throw to my buddy, Mr. Cousin Sal, your rat bet of the week. You get made, Sal. Let's go.
I'm going to get made here, and I'm going to get it right in the temple here. I have a feeling, but we've discussed this game, every side of it, but I really feel that rat bet is San Francisco, Pittsburgh. When I looked at this, I was like, the 49ers should be a 4-point favorite. They're expected to win 10.5 games. The Steelers are expected to win 8.5 games. I know Raheem and Simmons love Pittsburgh. I just don't get it. When healthy, this 49ers team is not to be effed with until given further notice. Bosa's happy, smiling ear to ear, right? New deal. They had Hargrave. This defense is going to be even stouter than they were last year. And who's it against? Kenny Pickett. Come on. He was one of the worst quarterbacks in the league last year. Maybe by the end of the season, he'll have fixed things up. But I don't know, 7 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. I think this is a juicy spot for San Francisco, except that it's only 2.5. So that's where I have my reservations. I think this is the rat line stay away game of the week.
I totally get Sal smelling a rat there. I like the Pittsburgh Steelers, but then when you hear every expert in America talk about the Steelers winning the division, the Steelers going and winning the AFC, the Steelers being a team that could go win the Super Bowl. Here's what you got to understand about the AFC North and the AFC in general this year. There are going to be some really good teams that are on the outside looking in come playoff time. It's difficult, right? Finding 7 teams within this conference, public money is doing nothing but bet the Pittsburgh Steelers in week 1. So maybe Sal smelling a rat there and going the other way with San Francisco. House, I know you're smelling a rat. Always. What do we got?
Yeah, well, I want to respond very quickly to Sal. I would agree with the way that he laid that out if I believed that San Francisco was indeed healthy. I don't know anything about Bosa coming out, with whatever practice he did in the preseason to get himself physically fit. And he's a specimen, let there be no doubt. But that's not football shape. And the real question mark to me is that elbow of Brock Purdy. He was on a pitch count in the preseason. What is that going to look like? So that's my only reservation with joining the cousin Sal. But I have a rat line also over in that NFC West conference. And it's really something I can't figure out. I can't put my thumb on what the heck is going on with this line. Seattle is laying 4.5 points to the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams have told the entire world that they are in transition. They are transitioning. They are trying to become a different team than what they are at this moment, and especially on defense. Now, the line in this game opened at 5.5. It got up to 6 at some point in July. All of that makes sense to me. Now down to 4.5, which reflects some steam from different corners of the world on the Rams, and I can't understand it. Matthew Stafford is throwing the football to Van Jefferson and Tutu Atwell. He hasn't played football in nearly a year. The Rams defense has Aaron Donald and a linebacker and nobody else. 3 of their secondary are among the very worst graded by PFF. Now, I think the possible explanation is that the Rams have covered a whole bunch against Seattle. They covered 5 straight, 8 of the last 9. Overall, Sean McVay against Seattle is good. He's 9-4 against the spread, 8-5 straight up. And McVay also has a good record in week 1 openers. But if you just sit down and look at the football team against the football team, I'm on all of these Geno Smith overs because I don't understand what's going on with the Rams or their defense.
Yeah, look, it's a fishy line. It is definitely a rat line. There's no denying that. The problem you have in putting your money on the Los Angeles Rams, no Cooper Kupp, as Joe House just alluded to. They lose Jalen Ramsey in the offseason, and you have to wonder, is this a year of transition for Los Angeles? And do they maybe want to get into the Caleb Williams sweepstakes so they can keep the Southern Cal quarterback from the Arizona Cardinals and keep them in La La Land with Sal and Bill and all the heavy hitters? All right, Raheem, it's time for you to get made. Your rat bet of the week. Let's hear it.
It's easily the Minnesota Vikings -5. This line opened up around 6.5, 7. It's been since bet down to about 4. And that's because the sharp money is fading this Vikings team, which won 13 games last year, had a Pythagorean expectation of just 8 wins. So this team really overperformed. They went 11-0 in 1-score games last year. So this line is priced as if they're a team that's just absolutely dominant, but they're a team that's just sneaking by and winning. My model actually has this game Vikings -3. So when you look at this Bucs team, I know a lot of people are underrating them because Tom Brady left. We all know he's the greatest of all time. But you still look at this defense. They still got guys like Vita Vea. They still got Antoine Winfield Jr. in the secondary. Carlton Davis in the secondary. They got guys who they can throw at Justin Jefferson. And we all know Todd Bowles, he may not be a good head coach, but he can put together a defense, and I think he'll be able to put together a defense which will be able to slow down that Vikings passing game with Kirk Cousins. I think the Buccaneers might win this game outright. I know people don't like Baker Mayfield, but this is a rat line.
Oh, I love it, Raheem. We have a family play as far as the rat line is concerned, because that's one I immediately circled. The Minnesota Vikings, who won double-digit games a year ago. The Minnesota Vikings, who are playing at home, and they're basically opening up a little under a touchdown against Tampa Bay. Everybody and their mother is betting the Minnesota Vikings, and yet as we move closer and closer to kickoff, this line is plummeting. There are 4.5s on the market here at FanDuel, and I'm right there with you. I'm taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers outright to win this particular game. And I know I live in New York City. I saw Todd Bowles stink up the joint coaching the New York Jets. That's true. He does know how to coach defense. And I thought you saw some positives from Baker Mayfield going back to the end of last year with the Los Angeles Rams. Sal, I know you think it's a zigzag theory. Everybody like Raheem and myself is zagging off the Minnesota Vikings. I know you picked them to win the division. I feel like I'm not getting your endorsement on this one, pal.
Well, you're not. And I also don't think everybody's betting the Vikings, like you said. I feel like, honestly, they're one of the most disrespected teams in the last 2 decades. I know they won 13-4, and everybody's going to point to the stat where they were 11-0 in one-score games. But should their over-under regress from, should they go from 13 wins to, I think their over-under win total is 8.5? Really? It's a fall off of 4 in a very complicated NFC North, who no one really could grab. And I guess the Lions are good, but honestly, I think this is a 9-win team. This is a good team. Tampa, look, it's a mass exodus. There are some nice pieces on defense, as Raheem said. Even Levante David, it was not mentioned. But this Viking team is underrated. They can be outstanding, could have gigantic firepower on offense with the addition of Addison there. So I'm not sleeping on them. By the way, I have them on every teaser going in today. So we know what's going to happen. A rat line, Tampa could sneak up on us. But I'd be surprised if the Vikings aren't good, honestly. So much.
But I think that's a different conversation, though, Sal. The idea of the Vikings winning the division as opposed to what we're seeing here in week 1. You're right.
Well, they should have to beat the Bucs. If they're going to win the division, it could start with if they're good enough to win the division, they should have to be able to beat the Bucs at home, I think.
You would think so in theory, but it's the NFL, and a lot of wacky, you know what can happen, especially in week 1. Oh. And you're right when you say Minnesota did not get a lot of public love as far as the futures are concerned. You're absolutely right. That is where everybody wanted to stay away from the Minnesota Vikings. They wanted to hop on the Detroit Lions, who won in week 1. They wanted to hop on with Raheem and House when it comes to the Green Bay Packers. But in this game, Raheem, this is where you're seeing the public line up, though, to take the Vikings in this spot.
One thing I want to remind everybody, week 1, road dogs that didn't make the previous postseason, 75-47-4. That's 64% against the spread since 2005. So we all know teams that overperform their pathetic, they tend to regress the following year. So I expect the Vikings to drop off a little bit. They won't win 11 one-score games again. So this is a rat line. I'm sorry, Sal.
That's all right. They'll go 7-4. They won't go 11-0 in one-score games. It was a good coach.
I don't want any apologies here. All's fair in love and war. So I want you guys getting down and dirty, Raheem and Sal. I mean,
we can get down and dirty, here, but I'm trying to welcome him with open arms to the family.
No. I love Raheem either way, no matter how many touchdowns the Vikings lose by today. So it's going to be interesting. I can eat a lot of crow. Yeah.
Look at you guys trying to play nice. All right, I want to take this to the Big Apple for Sunday night in primetime, Monday night in primetime. And I know this is a subject that's near and dear to 2 of our panelists' hearts because Cousin Sal and Raheem the Dream, no wonder why they're all buddy-buddy. They might be with Jerry Jones and Chris Christie at MetLife Stadium hanging out in the box watching the Cowboys and the New York Giants. So, House, we have the Sunday night game, Dallas and the Giants. We have the Monday night game, Buffalo and the Jets. I give you an opportunity to go and bet either one of those games, and you have to pick one. Which New York game do you like more in primetime? Is it Sunday night fading the Giants, riding with the Cowboys, or maybe taking the Giants? Or is it Buffalo with Mr. Allen? Or is it Mr. Rogers and the New York Jets? I'm giving you New York double dip. Give me a pick.
You know, as an NFC East guy, that all I root for every week is for every other NFC East team to lose. So when they play each other, I hope that they have a 0-0 tie. So I'm going to stay away from that game, although I will note that Dallas has owned the Giants. And, you know, I love this Dallas team this coming season. I don't want to jump in with 2 feet right now, but I have a lot of exposure to Dallas over the course of the year because I think they're loaded on both sides of the ball. So my inclination is to play on the Jets. I think that the way I want to do it, again, this is my exotic frame of mind, is just tease them. Grab them and put them. It's a perfect teaser leg. They're sitting there at plus 2.5. Just grab them, push them up to the 8.5. And find a nice combination there. Steelers are sitting right there. Packers are still not the Packers. I like the Titans maybe around in there. But of those 2, the Jets are my preference. Aaron Rodgers in prime time. I mean, I literally can't wait for this game. And I'm happy I don't have a rooting interest other than what my wallet wants out of the outcome.
Raheem, I'm giving you an option. Giants, Cowboys, Jets, Bills. Who are we taking in either of those 2?
Well, I have a lot to say about the Cowboys, so I'll tell you about that later on in this episode. But for the sake of the Monday night game, I like the Jets. I think the Jets get off to a hot start and win this game. So,
wow, going with the Jets. I'd go the other way. And Sal, I'm asking if I can join you and Raheem in Jerry's box later on Sunday night. You know, it's a hop, skip, and a jump for me after I watch Tua take down Justin Herbert. For me to get in a car, get to MetLife Stadium, your security detail will take care of it. And I want Christy, I want Jones, I want Cousin Sal and Raheem, and JJ, the New Yorker, rocking the Cowboys shirt because I'm on the Cowboys 3 and a hook, Sal.
I like it. I can't promise you that if I'm in the box with Chris Christie that there's going to be enough room for even skinny you. But if you get there, right?
And no food.
And no food, right. But JJ, be prepared to clean the other JJ's glasses, Jerry Jones, because I don't know if the son-in-law is there anymore for that detail. No, I'm with you. Listen, I think all the value is sucked out of the New York Jets and futures bets in this Monday night affair. So I'm going to stay away from that. I think Aaron Rodgers actually has a tough time with these first 6 games, but I think that's a stay away. I think, essentially I'm going to have the Jets in the playoffs with the Bills winning that division. But I know this is a homer pick, but Cowboys -3.5. They've owned this Giants team. Dak specifically has owned this Giants team. Why are we excited about the Giants to do anything in this game? Darren Waller is out. Okay, the Cowboys have offensive line issues, but that offense gets humming, and it's going to be trouble. And Daniel Jones just doesn't scare me in this spot. What scares me is that I'm not scared about this game. So tell me, JJ, should I be afraid as a Cowboys fan about this game?
No, and I know Brian Dable's a great head coach. He showed that in year 1. I think he's here to stay. There's something to be said for handling a New York situation the way that he did. But the Giants in week 1 are the public dog with fleas. That's the way I look at them. When I see a public dog that everybody's hammering, stay away. Something is a little off with the New York Giants. And remember, as we move closer and closer to kickoff, we're waiting word on whether or not explosive tight end Darren Waller is going to be able to give it a go. But you look at the Cowboys' success against the New York Giants, I'm not interested in taking the Giants in any way. And if I had to bet those 2 games, I'd be taking the Cowboys. How about them? And lay those 3.5. All right, House, we have a time for a little wise guy ringer grab bag. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to go around the horn. You guys are going to give me a tidbit, something, whatever it may be, a tease. It could be a stat. It could be a prop. I don't care what you guys want to do. It's your time to shine. And our diplomat or our Mr. Washington, D.C. correspondent, I don't know, you might be on another channel reporting on our presidential race soon. I'm going to defer to you, Joe Haas. Take it away.
Well, I am going to stay exotic. It really is my lane. I have a delightful tiramisu teaser for all the wise guys here. I hope everybody's got a spoon. We've talked ad nauseum about the Steelers. I'll just remind everybody about Mike Tomlin at home against the spread as a dog, 13-5-2 against the spread, 72%, 12-8 straight up. So grabbing the 2.5 that the San Francisco 49ers are bestowing upon this situation, I will gladly shoot that up through 8.5 for the Steelers. And then I want to take a little opportunity to say bad things about Dennis Allen and the New Orleans Saints. We haven't really had a chance to talk about the New Orleans Saints. They are the darling of the analytics community this offseason because they have by far the easiest schedule. If you just look at the teams that they're lined up to play and the forecasted win totals of those teams, they only really play 2 or 3 teams with win totals above 500. So it's a path that looks like a Mardi Gras parade potentially for the Saints. But the Saints are playing in week 1, Mike Vrabel and the Tennessee Titans. And I feel like folks might have forgotten about the Titans because of how they finished the season last year. Their defense went through an injury apocalypse. They were 7-3 through their first 10 games, poised to once again shock everybody and grab the AFC South. And they went completely off the deep end because everybody got hurt all at once. They had cluster injuries at every important skill position on defense. Mike Vrabel as an underdog, rivals Mike Tomlin in a kind of underdog position. And really, to me, this is Mike Vrabel against Dennis Allen. I feel like the Saints defense is particularly overrated. I feel like that defense has a lot of aging participants at important skill positions. And to me, if I can grab the Titans, they're sitting on FanDuel right now at +3, push them up through 9. My teaser is the Steelers +8.5, the Titans +9. That's some tiramisu for all my buddies sitting right here, all you wise guys.
That's a tasty tiramisu, Sal. I like the sound of that. Steelers, good underdog. I know you think it's a rat line. That's fine. I'll take them plus those points. I'll take Tennessee with Mike Vrabel plus points any day of the week, especially at that number. Sal, what do you got for a tidbit?
Truth be told, House and I may have a carryover teaser with Holy Cross and the Steelers, but so the Steelers are a little bit of a hedge on all my San Francisco love, I have to say. And listen, let's face it, that's one team you don't have to watch, right? The Steelers, they're going to be 6-8 going into the last 3 weeks, and they're going to be lucky enough to play everybody's backup, and they're going to end up at 9-8, and everyone's like, oh, Tomlin's the greatest. So that's what it is. I don't know how that plays for this week. As far as Tennessee, New Orleans, House, we both have Tennessee to win the division. I also have New Orleans to win the division, so that was a tough stay away game for me. But I'm also in House's corner when I deal with the rest of the NFC East. I want every game to end in a tie, and luckily the Giants, Washington, they did end in a tie last year, right? So when it comes to a Jalen Hurts situation, I'm not rooting them to do well because I'm a Cowboys fan. But you have to make money in this game, and one way to do it is to bet Hurts anytime touchdown plus 125. As far as I could see, they didn't change that rugby rule where everybody and their mother, you could have the whole team, you could have the cheerleaders. I think Belichick and Brady are even allowed to get in there and push Jalen Hurts from behind 2-3 yards to get into the end zone. And I think that's what's going to happen, including playoffs. Hurts had 8 rushing touchdowns in his last 5 games. He actually scored a rushing touchdown in 8 of his last 10 games. And if you're getting plus 125, this number is off. I dare say bizarre. I don't think there's going to be many more weeks where you're going to get a plus number in front of Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown. Take a healthy Hurts and this prop every week, and you're going to make some dough.
I like the sound of an anytime touchdown, especially with the way Jalen Hurts played in that Super Bowl. And Raheem pointed it out. The Patriots over the last couple of years have struggled with the running quarterback. That's fine. He can get his anytime touchdown. Just give me that New England cover at +4 or 3.5. All right, Raheem. The floor is yours for the grab bag.
Okay, we're going to go with 2 team 6-point teasers. I broke down why I like the Steelers already, but I think you can tease that up from +1.5 to +7.5. You're crossing off those key numbers of 3 and 7. I think you can do the same with the Green Bay Packers, crossing off those numbers of 3 and 7. The most important thing about this is the fact that these are low totals. So the Steelers game is lined at 41.5. The Packers game is lined at 40.5. So getting that 7 points is even more valuable on a teaser here. For my third teaser leg, the Commanders, pick 'em. I'm going with House on this, and I think people are underestimating the emotional component of throwing Daniel Snyder in the bushes and having Josh Harris actually take over ownership in DC. I think this is the one game all year where the Commanders are favored, and they're favored by 6 points for a reason, because they're going up against a tanking Arizona Cardinals team who doesn't want to win. Washington Commanders are extremely motivated for this game, and I know there's no real way to cap motivation, but when you get rid of Daniel Snyder, you get rid of the black cloud that's been hanging over this franchise for quite some time. So I think you mix and match those 3 teams in 6-point teasers, and I think you have a positive expectation. One thing you got to understand is that you need to break even 72.4% of the time on teasers. I think those will get you to the window.
How about it? A House Raheem tag team involving the world famous Washington Commanders. How about that? All right, boys. So this might be the first and last time I give you guys a trend. I don't consider myself a trend guy, but here's what I'm doing. I'm taking a look at what you've seen from the Baltimore Ravens over the last 5 or 6 week ones. This stat comes from our buddy James Alvarino, the spread investor. I mean, you're talking about dominance from the Baltimore Ravens in week 1. I could think back to last year when they took down Joe Flacco and the New York Jets. I think about Lamar Jackson throwing 10 zillion touchdowns against the quote-unquote tanking 2019 Miami Dolphins. And that's why, even though a lot of the short money is coming in on the Texans today because of DeMeco Ryans, because they think that defense plays, I think a lot of the trends are pointing you in a direction of taking the Ravens. And I know everybody in week one is still alive in their eliminator pools. That might not be the case after today. I think we'll have at least one of those big favorites go down because that's the way the NFL works. I just can't see it being the Baltimore Ravens. I'm looking for an eliminator pick. That's the easy one for me, Raheem. I know the short money's on the Texans. Raheem, there's no way in the world the Ravens are losing this game today. 0.
Oh, yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, we know about John Harbaugh in week one. Lamar Jackson, he has something to prove with that contract. And I think this is the best set of weapons that he's ever had in the NFL. You got Zay Flowers. He's a rookie of the year candidate. You got Odell Beckham Jr. I know Mark Andrews is out, but I think they should be able to survive without him. You add in the fact that you bring in Todd Monken, that offense is going to be a lot better. And Houston Texans, the offensive line is banged up, rookie quarterback. Ravens win this game. I don't know if they cover them.
Well, I don't need to cover, because I'm not laying 9.5. I am taking them, though. In my knockout pool, Sal, I need the Ravens.
Yeah, of course, right? I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to take another one of these coin flip games? Yeah, get easy breezy. Take the Ravens to survive week one. Look, I don't love them in terms of, I have them making the playoffs, but if I'm taking a big swing with the Browns, and I also like the Bengals, I can't also take the Ravens and the Steelers, right? So you have to pick between them. As far as the Texans go, I think eventually they're going to be okay. I don't even have them last in that division. I think the Colts will be putrid. I'm not sure DeMeco Ryans did the right thing taking this job. There were 2 one-and-done coaches before him. I think he's better than this position. But that said, going into this first week, combined with those trends that you mentioned, I think the Ravens are a real big winner, and Harbaugh is pretty focused early on and in the regular season in general.
Well, fellas, as a final thought, House, I need a final thought from you. Down in Washington, D.C., we got about a couple minutes left here in our first ever edition of The Wise Guys. House, because we want to be like every show in America now, this is the one chance we get to be like every show in America. Give me a terrible Super Bowl pick that has no chance of happening this year.
I don't have any of those. All I have are Super Bowl picks that are definitely going to win.
Oh, okay.
I'm just telling you right now, I'm zagging against Baltimore as my eliminator pick. The whole world's on Baltimore. I have to go. I'm taking Atlanta. I'm on Atlanta for the eliminator pick this week. I don't know. Baltimore to win the Super Bowl. I did bet that. I bet it last year and I bet it again this year. I like to give money away. But they were like near 20-1, maybe 18-1. I guess that's my terrible Super Bowl pick of the year.
Dream?
I'm not mad at that at all. One thing I want to say for my final thought, you got to take the Cowboys -3. I know we talked about it earlier, but the big thing you want to look for tonight, Dak versus the Wink Martindale blitz. Dak eats blitzes for lunch.
Yeah.
Martindale blitzes on 45% of the snaps. Also, Daniel Jones pressure on 55% of his dropbacks last year. Take the Cowboys -3.
You know what? I am just getting word that this last 28 minutes was a waste because we were canceled right after the Simmons video aired. So I'm not sure what even the point of this is, but I'll give you a long shot because they're all long shots when you match up teams. The 49ers to beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, JJ, on FanDuel is 42-1. Actually, it might be even higher now that the Chiefs lost, but it's sitting there at 42-1. Jump on that now. Have some fun. Those teams are making the Final Four for sure, so there's plenty of hedge opportunity.
I like the logic in that. I'm riding with you when it comes to the San Francisco 49ers. I think they win the Super Bowl, Sal. I'm on them. Mr. Irrelevant. Niners over the Buffalo Bills. We'll burn that tape when we're doing our Super Bowl show. For House, Raheem, Cousin Sal, JJ signing off. Remember, our digital stream will be rocking for the next half hour. You want to check that out on FanDuel TV and on The Ringer. Wise Guys signing off. We'll see you in week number 2. Welcome back. Ringer Wise Guys, digital edition, bonus show, bonus coverage, whatever you want to call it. Cousin Sal, Raheem Palmer, Joe House, John Jastremski. Boys, we survived our first ever hour-long live television show. We're in one piece.
Can we, are we off air? Like, is this just audio? Can I take my mascara off? I just need to know now.
What about your blush? Do you have too much blush showing right now?
What about my pants? I'd like to take my pants off.
Yeah, definitely take your pants off.
I want to take my shirt off because I got a six-pack. I got to show the world.
Show it off. I agree with him.
Dream, that's true. Dream does.
You know, the only thing that was disappointing about this first show, Raheem, is I've seen you work it on a dance floor going back to my wedding. I thought maybe you'd be working in either a six-pack or a couple of moves, bro.
Oh, man. JJ out here telling fibs to the world.
No, I only tell it real. I only keep it fair and balanced. So here's what we're going to do in this next half hour. Basically, it's going to be all over the map. We're going to get to bonus bets. We'll run through a bunch of these games, maybe that we didn't get to in the FanDuel TV edition of the Ringer Wise Guys. We'll start with bonus bets, though. How's a bet that we did not touch on in the hour of television that we did that you're dying to get to that just didn't make the cut? What would it be?
I love fading these rookie quarterbacks in week one, two of whom are on the road. You can grab the three rookie quarterbacks in a three-legged parlay situation and get plus money odds. So if you play Atlanta on the money line at minus 186 against Bryce Young, if you play Baltimore on the money line at minus 450 at home against CJ Stroud, and if you play the Jacksonville Jaguars at minus 190 going into Indianapolis, you get plus 186, three-legged money line parlay. All three of those teams are favored by varying amounts. I just feel like in this modern era of football, the quarterbacks coming from college, I mean, my man Richardson, as great as a physical specimen as he is, he's only played like 14 games. I mean, he has no experience whatsoever. So I just like the idea of trying to grab near 2-to-1 odds on fading those guys. All of them, I hope, have great careers ultimately, but this is a rare week one. Welcome to the NFL. Take the L on the forehead, rookies, and let's just move on. Let's cash in and move on, JJ.
Sal, who would scare you the most out of those three?
Well, I picked, I think they were my dog, right? My, what was it? Yeah, I had the Carolina because I do think one of those rookie quarterbacks is going to pull off the upset. Like I said, too tall in order for Stroud. I don't like Richardson's, for the very same reasons that House listed his path to winning that game against the Jaguars, and they stink week one anyway. So that would be, I'm going Bryce Young as the upset. I don't understand all this Atlanta love. I really don't. The fact that they have the same over-under win total as the Vikings, that's one of the first things that jumped out at me in May or whenever the first time we saw these over-unders. But House, I think you got to take a shot with that at close to 2-to-1 odds. I don't think that's bad at all.
See, I think you're missing a boat on Atlanta, Sal. I really do. I understand you don't like Ritter. I get it, but they were in a lot of close games. They're pretty well coached, and the division stinks. See, that's my thing. Like, if Atlanta was in the AFC, we would not be having this conversation. Raheem, like, I look at Atlanta and say, yeah, they're a year away. They don't have the sort of quarterback play, or they don't have the sort of roster that can go and be one of the 7 in the AFC. But, dude, when you're in a division with Tampa, who I like maybe a little bit better, more than most, but they're still Tampa with Baker Mayfield, the Saints with Dennis Allen, who stinks, and Carolina with a rookie quarterback and a coach who got fired, like, that to me is where there's opportunity in that NFC South.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that Sal is neglecting is that Ritter doesn't have to go out there and win these games by himself. He just has to be a game manager. When you look at what Arthur Smith did last year, the Falcons had the highest run-pass ratio in the league. I think it was 51-49. So, and then you bring in Bijan Robinson, and they're going to be leaning on him. They're going to be leaning on Cordell Patterson. They're going to be running the ball a ton, and Ritter just has to make a couple of throws here and there. He just has to be Jimmy Garoppolo. So he doesn't have to be Matt Ryan in order for this team to win games. And, like JJ said, it's a bad division. So I like the Falcons.
I want to
gang up here. I want to come in. East Coast bias against the Cuz.
Let's go.
Let's go.
The NFC South is playing the AFC South. We talked about the Saints having the easiest record by forecasted wins. Number 2 on that list is the Falcons. And the point that Dream just made about that rushing attack of the Falcons is the key angle. Arthur Smith got credit, deservedly so, for innovating over the course of the season. They got to 7 wins with Marcus Mariota and Bum Ritter, the kid who was, basically trying to find himself.
That guy's back, right? Yeah.
But look, with the top 3 most efficient rushing offenses, it's a total zag by Arthur Smith. He wants to run. He's playing smash mouth football. He's not going to let Ritter throw the ball. He's not going to let Ritter cost them games. And I mean, adding Bijan to that mix, it's going to be like watching the NFC East. I feel like watching Atlanta this year. So I'm bullish on Atlanta the same way the other gentlemen are.
Well, can I just say, if you're going to disregard one division this year, if you don't want to pull your hair out every week to figure out who's the best team in the division, I think it is the NFC South. I think you could easily wait, and you won't get as juicy odds as some of these teams. But I really, really strongly feel after week 16, everybody's going to be around 7 and 8, and we're still not going to know who the best. We didn't know last year, right? Tom Brady was in the mix. He threw 700 passes, and we still weren't sure that Tampa Bay was the best. And I'm still, even though they won the division, not sure that they were the best in that division. So if you were going to stay away and probably get similar odds 12, 13 weeks from now, sit back and watch for a couple months.
One game we didn't get to, and I feel like we're going to do this a lot in the digital segment where we have like the honorable mentions, and it's kind of crazy we didn't get to this game. And it just goes to show you, by the way, how fair and how balanced and how reasonable I am as the big Miami Dolphins fan that I am, that the Tua Herbert round 3 did not make it to the first edition of Ringer Wise Guys because it wasn't a best bet out of any of the 4. And we're not doing a whip around like Jimmy the Greek where we're hitting on every single game. And I like Miami, all right. Or I like Los Angeles closer than you think. No, I'm not going to do my Jimmy the Greek. I'll leave that to Sal. But Raheem, I am going to get to you. Dolphins, 3-point underdog against the Chargers. No Teron Armstead. That's a big loss. Remember, Tua was terrible last year against LA in that Sunday night game everybody watched. But Vic Fangio knows Herbert well. He smoked Kellen Moore a couple of years ago when he was with the Denver Broncos. I think this is one of the toughest games on the board, full disclosure. Where do you stand on Dolphins-Chargers?
This is a really tough game for me because initially I like the Dolphins. When you look at the spread, I mean, we all know the Chargers don't have any home field advantage. And last year, these 2 teams played, and the Dolphins were laying 3. We know that the Chargers ended up winning, but 3 is a little bit too high from a numbers perspective. My model actually makes this game a pick 'em. However, when you look at the fact that Armstead is out for this game, and you look at how Stanley put together that game plan against the Dolphins last year, Tua looked really rough. And you also have to look at the fact that Vic Fangio, he's a great defensive coordinator, probably the greatest of our generation, but this is week 1. And he also doesn't have Jalen Ramsey out there. It's going to take quite a few weeks for this Dolphins defense to get adjusted to Vic Fangio's scheme. So in the midst of getting adjusted, you still got to deal with Keelan Allen. You still got to deal with Mike Williams. You got to deal with that rookie, Quentin Johnston. And I think that's going to be problematic for this Dolphins secondary. I also just wonder if Mike McDaniel has been able to put together a game plan to counter what Staley threw at them last year. I don't want to play a side. If I had to play anything, I would probably play the over 50.5. 51 is key, so you want to make sure you get 50.5. But if I had to play something, that's what I would be playing.
I'd take Miami plus the points. Actually, I'll take it a step further. I take them outright. I think Fangio is going to have that defense ready to play. I actually would go the other way in this game, Raheem, because Staley and the success he had against Tua, you have that on record. I think Fangio throws a wrinkle or 2, maybe that Justin Herbert hasn't seen. I would play the under. I do not think we get the track meet as promised, Sal. I'd actually like under in this game, and forget the 3. If you take a Miami, I think you take them outright. That's what I would do.
Interesting. Well, I'm a bit more of a coward than you, and I wanted to buy, and in fact, I did buy the 0.5 point up to 3.5, but this was before Armstead got hurt. So I want to bet Tua as much as I can, as long as he's healthy. Now, when he doesn't have his best guy blocking for him, I do worry about the new rules in place, or the rules that are really going to be tender towards Tua, right? Any hit that looks like it's near the head, he's coming out. Any concussion, he's not sitting 2 weeks. He's sitting 4 weeks. You're going to see an exasperated two on the sidelines a lot. Be like, I wasn't even hit. Why am I heading to the blue tent? They're going to be very careful with him. That said, I want to bet against Coach Staley as much as I can. And JJ, you talked about teams going for two when they don't need to, whatever. This guy's the king of that. So if there's ever going to be a game that landed in a 1-point win or a 2-point win, this is the kind of game. I don't like the Chargers laying points ever.
But that's the thing, though, Sal. Don't you think if the game's close, the Chargers find a way to screw it up? That's kind of my feeling. You know, like I think if the Chargers win this game, they end up winning it like that. I almost, if I'm going to bet the Chargers, would bet them like from an alternate spread perspective, where they go and win by like a touchdown or 10 points. I think if the game's close, they screw it up, dude. I really do.
Yeah, but
actually, I think that's a great point about the alternate spreads, because I think you could probably lay points with Miami, because I think whoever wins this game probably wins by a touchdown. But I want to give you guys a stat listed by Bill Barnwell. Tua with Teron Armstead, QBR 76.7. Without Teron Armstead, 12.9. Now, that is a small sample size.
Coincidence.
Yeah, I mean, that means a lot. One thing I want to say is that I do think Miami's going to have to run the ball against this Chargers defense, which was 29th in rushing EPA per play. The success of them running the ball will determine who wins this game.
I love that. And that's my bonus bet we didn't get to. Play Raheem Mostert. I'm not a big prop guy. They are not playing the third-round kid from Texas A&M. I know I went Francesa on you. I forgot his name. I think Ahmed. No, Ahmed is the backup. Achne. There we go. I was close. Close, but no cigar. He's inactive today. That means you're getting a ton of Raheem Mostert. I think he scores a touchdown. I'd play him over his rushing yards. I love our wonderful graphics, by the way. They were all over it. They're taking Raheem Mostert. That's my bonus play.
Hold on, JJ. You don't know your star running back pick or your favorite team. You don't know the name of the guy that the Dolphins picked. You're not familiar with this yet.
I know the name. I butchered it. I'm allowed to. It's like the first tee in Silver Lake. I'm allowed to mulligan. Give me a breakfast ball.
Dolphins fan. Come on.
I'm taking my house. I'm granted a breakfast ball on that, right? Fair game.
Of course. So it's Sunday morning. We're always generous with the breakfast balls. I can't play this game. I wanted to play on Miami so badly because I absolutely love the idea of McDaniel scheming up against Staley after Staley. You know, Staley is a creative defensive mind, but I'm very bitter. I can't believe that he survived the offseason, that they brought him back. I don't know. Speaking of pictures, incriminating pictures of powerful people with farm animals, how did Brandon Staley stay as the head coach of that team? They used Joe Lombardi as a sacrificial lamb. Joe Lombardi didn't make Mike Williams go out there unnecessarily in week 18. Joe Lombardi didn't try and end that game against the Raiders the previous year. If they just tied the game, it would have been a playoff berth for San Diego. That's Staley. He stinks. STALEY-STINKS. Staley stinks. So I was all loaded up to go against. I think it works, cuz. I was all loaded up, but I can't do it with the Armstead. The Armstead thing hurts my feelings because I was really excited about the possibility of Miami here.
There's one game we didn't hit on. And I feel like we're going to do this every week, where like we go through our card, we give a ton of picks, and then there's the forgotten game. Raheem, the forgotten game of the week, Vegas and Denver. We have not touched on this game in one iota. And Denver last year was one of the worst teams against the spread. There's no coach I love fading more than Josh McDaniels. He stinks. He is awful. He will be out of a job by the end of the year. You can take that to the bank. But you want to talk about a stay away from me, Raheem? I saw Vegas and Denver. I'm like, I have no interest in betting this game whatsoever.
Yeah, this one's uglier than a masterpiece sneaker. And a big reason why is that you actually have sharp money on both sides. I mean, surprisingly, the Raiders actually took money in the market, pushing this from 4.5 down to 3.5. A big reason why is because the Broncos, who was like dead last in adjusted games, lost last year with a ton of injuries. They even have even more injuries this year. Jerry Jeudy is out. And then also this Raiders team has actually dominated the Broncos in recent memory. So I don't think the Broncos have beaten them since 2019. Now, the one thing I will add is that the Broncos, these early season games in altitude, it's really tough for the opposing team. So I typically like to take the Broncos early season. But I don't know if I could do it here with the 3.5, just because I just think this is a close game. Either way, I think whoever wins probably wins by a field goal. But I mean, a lot of people are expecting some improvement from Sean Payton, but I don't know if I can bet on that because the injuries to Jerry Jeudy, Russell Wilson looks like he's Larry Holmes status, flabby and sick. I'm staying away from this one.
Yeah, the problem with gambling for decades and decades and decades, you accumulate a lot of teams that you hate because they screwed you over the years, right? So Denver, Las Vegas, or Oakland before that, it falls right in that wheelhouse. Some of my most miserable losses were backing those teams, and I even had the Raiders to win the AFC West last year. So I'm off that. They're going to be garbage. I like Denver. I think Raheem's right. The spread is a little hefty considering Denver's injuries and everything else around it. But if I had to pick a team, I'm going to go Denver. I think maybe they do pull it out by a score. I have Sean Payton for Coach of the Year. You can get him around 12-1. I think he's changed the culture there. He's not going to let Russ run roughshod over them. The high knees on the airplane, those days are over. Russ had his own office in the facility. Those days are over. He had his own quarterback coach, aside from the team-assigned quarterback coach. So Sean Payton said, no more of that. Jared Stidham's waiting in the wings. We have a shortish leash on you, Russ Wilson. That said, I still think Russell Wilson will come back to, not 2017 form, but somewhere less horrible than he was last year. And if I had to take anyone, I'd take Denver tonight.
So that's the whole analysis, right? Is Russ going to be less horrible? I mean, let's play this game. Let's play this game. What's your over-under for how many games that Russell Wilson, not talking about potential injury, what's your over-under for number of games that Sean Payton, gives Russell Wilson an opportunity to try and rehabilitate himself?
Not a lot.
I don't think so either, because this. In our fantasy league, I waited until the very last pick of the whole draft. I stayed up till 3 a.m. Unnecessarily so I could bid $1 on Jared Stidham because I think he's going to be the starting quarterback of the Denver Broncos before the middle of the season. And I honestly think that this Denver Broncos team, the strength is the defense. And, if that offense can just barely exceed the putrid output of last season, there was a whole bunch of ways that you could do analytics measuring up how Denver performed last season. And it was like, if they scored 2 more points last season, they would have won this many games. If they scored 3 more points last season, and it's true. They had now part of that was because they had a guy that is competing with Urban Meyer for the worst head coach in NFL history in Nate Hackett. Aaron Rodgers' boy, Nate Hackett. My fault, A-Rod. But, look, this Broncos team with a little bit of semblance of organization, a semblance of an adult in the room, Peyton knowing what he's doing, and that defense is not to be slept on. I like Denver in general. I like them very much in the situation against the Raiders because I'm with JJ. I think that Josh McDaniels is a great argument for first coach to be fired. And I think the Raiders you can get at very good odds as potential worst. You have 45 minutes. Go find worst record in the NFL and put in the Vegas Raiders and get some return on that.
Listen, when in doubt, fade Josh McDaniels.
That's really
been
a
good rule when he's been an NFL head coach. So I don't love this game. I won't have a cent on this game. If I had to play it, I'm taking the Broncos. All right, bonus bet. We got yours, House. Raheem, I think we got yours. Did we not?
Yeah, mine was the Cowboys -3.
Yeah, I think we did. My brain might be a little fried, but I think we did. I gave you Raheem Mostert over rushing yards. Because, last but not least, a bonus bet, a porting gift for the road, sir.
I think House is going to like this because he did it in the first hour before we canceled, before the Simmons video and everything. But I am going Seahawks adjusted line -13.5 at +300 over the Rams. We just discussed who's going to be the worst team in the league. It really could be the Rams. And a week ago, that number was 10-1. You can get the Rams at worst record. Now it's down to +650. Maybe not worth it as much. But let's remember this. The Rams, when they were not as bad as they're going to be this year, lost 5 times by 2 touchdowns or more last year, right? Okay, we're already seeing cracks, right? So such a weak linebacking core. The secondary, there's no Ramsey, there's no Wagner, there's no Floyd, and now there's no Cooper Kupp. And soon enough, there's not going to be a Matthew Stafford. Now, maybe he lasts the end of this game, but I don't think he's in there to get to the finish line. We have a 35-year-old with a spine injury who already won them a Super Bowl. What's his incentive to going out there? On the other hand, just for today, Seattle, lots of firepower. Geno Smith picks up right where he left off. He's got those maybe the best 3 wide receivers in the league if you look at them as a trio. 31-10 is actually 3 touchdowns, a 3-touchdown win, and a 3-1 you can get minus 13.5. Take the Hawks to win by 2 touchdowns or more.
All right, what's our family play before we say goodbye? We gotta unite on one. What are we thinking? Family play today, boys. What do we got?
Feels like we're all in the Browns in some form or fashion, aren't we?
I'm in on the Browns.
Okay.
I'll do it, and then I could curse Sal out at 4:00 when it doesn't hit because it was his best bet of the
me out
day.
before then, for sure. But yeah,
Well, I'll probably do that as well. I mean, that's easy for me.
I screwed this up. You guys all love Pittsburgh. You all love some other team.
Atlanta. We love
I
Atlanta.
thought Atlanta was going to be the family play. You had to be the bad guy on that.
Guys. I'm going to be the problem. I'm the stickler. I'm the needler. I'm the one who goes against the grain on a lot of these. So I apologize in advance.
No, it's all good. We can go with the Browns or the Cowboys.
Oh,
I don't know if House is signing off on Dallas.
I can't do it. Not in week 1. And as you know, Dream, I'm long on Dallas this year. I like them, but I just can't do it in week 1. I'm sorry.
All right, so our dopey family play today that has no chance of winning. We're going with the Browns. Okay,
Browns,
we're all in.
money line or the points? What are we doing?
No, take the points. Take the points. Let's not get cute. It is the Browns. It is the Browns. Let's not get cute.
I mean, it's 1.5 right now. We're looking at 1.5 on FanDuel. Come on, JJ, you got to have
if
some
it ends up
balls
being a
today.
1-point game, I don't want to hear it. Fine, we'll take the money line, but I'm blaming you.
wise guys.
I'm blaming you if it's a 1-point game. I'm just
Yeah.
saying it right now. I'm blaming you.
Plus EV.
Guys,
Plus EV.
this is a lot of fun. We'll be doing this each and every week. This is like going to be our little wrap-up show after we finish up on FanDuel TV. So it means it's going to get weird. It's going to get wacky. I want to thank our guys in the control, Jack and the whole crew at FanDuel TV and Spotify and Ringer and whatnot for keeping us in line as much as humanly possible over the last hour and 20 minutes. House, Raheem, Sal, boys, let's cash a whole lot of tickets today, okay?
Let's do it, fellas. And even if this only lasted 1 episode, it was really a great joy.
It is. It was great to see you for a week, if that was the case. But in all seriousness, we'll see you for week 2. Boys are out. Be good, everybody.